Yeah, check 1 2, check 1 2. Is this mic on? Is this mic on? Hey, listen, man. It's the one and only trendsetter DJ Sense, and you're listening to CockTales. Dirty discussions with Kiki and Medinah Monroe. Yeah.
Today's cocktail is called Crema de la Rose. The ingredients you need: 2 ounces of tequila rose, strawberry creme liqueur, 1 ounce of vodka, 5 ounces of grenadine, and 1.5 ounces of vanilla creamer, or half and half. So here's how you're going to make it. You're going to rim your martini glass with red sugar, refrigerate the glass for a few minutes to let the sugar set. Add the vodka, the tequila rose, the grenadine, and the creamer in a cocktail shaker filled with ice. Shake for about 5 to 10 seconds. Pour from the shaker into a chilled martini glass. And this drink is brought to you by your tipsy homegirl. I don't even have to taste it because I know it's about to be busting. It's pretty and pink for Valentine's Day.
It is. It's quite lovely, actually. Okay, you like it?
I love it, and I love how you can taste the alcohol. It's pretty, but it's strong.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice, strong, sturdy drink to get it popping
Surely
this holiday season. Welcome back to Cocktails Dirty Discussions, you guys.
Hey, y'all.
Quick reminders. We want to remind you guys that tomorrow night and Saturday night, we will be at City Winery right here in Atlanta. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, please head on over to the City Winery website. Make your purchases, come out. It's going to be a great time, whether you have a date or not. It's open to everybody. Single men will be there. Single women will be there. Couples, friends. It's for everybody.
Turn up. It's a turn up. Come have a good time if you want to laugh, sing,
Get your flirt
dance,
on.
drink. Yeah.
Meet some new people. If that was one of your goals this year, like it was for us,
Bring
come
that
out.
ass.
And then also, I want to make sure that you remember to sign up on Patreon, patreon.com/cocktails for bonus content. Head to I'mCuriousToKnow.com to purchase your game and your t-shirt. We do have new merch available. And then also purchase Klassy Baste, KlassyBaste.com. All these links are going to be in the description below. And if you're interested in sponsoring any of our upcoming live shows, because we will be in LA later this month, make sure that you email us, sales@cocktailspod.com, and someone will reach back out to you.
If you are in search for a home and you need a real estate agent, make sure you hit up the KDM Real Estate team. How you contact them is you text them or call them at 404-951-9000. That's 404-951-9000. Hit them up, buy a house.
Yes.
I also want to remind everybody, if you are interested in traveling, if that was on your New Year's goals list, come with me to Bali. Go to paradiseandvibe.com and sign up now. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Is this one of your favorite holidays?
It's not one of my favorites, but I do love Valentine's Day. Like those people, they're like, oh, it's a man-made holiday. It's
So what?
I
so
love
bitter.
any excuse to just shower people with love. Your nephews, because it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be your girlfriends, your family, babies. I can't wait to send Disney and Kai and Zadie and Zane little gifts for Valentine's Day.
Walker
love
got
it.
me some flowers one year and some little chocolates, and I was like, oh, it's so sweet. Just so sweet.
Okay, so if you guys are watching, if you're listening, you heard a voice. If you're watching, you see a beautiful young woman sitting with us. You guys, this is Brittany Hardy.
Hello.
She is a licensed psychotherapist. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Yes.
So I met Brittany on the Paradise and Vibe South Africa trip. She was the guest speaker, her and her business partner, Annie. They own a couple different businesses. Brittany does a lot. I could go down the list, but I'm like, whoo, it's a lot. The Hardy Clinic, Hard Mood.
Yes.
It's a lot going on. We will get to know a little bit more about Brittany. Say hey to our audience.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we love having therapists on because you can always ask a professional questions and get real answers.
I saw you walk in when we were recording the other episode, and I know they needed your help. Sorry, y'all's letters didn't make it in, but everybody, this week you can get some sense probably in your advice today. Okay, before we get to know you a little bit better, we're going to do a quick little segment called Weird Sex. Let me put my drink down.
Okay. You said a man is not a necessity, a man is a luxury.
Like dessert. Yeah. A man is absolutely not a necessity.
Did you mean that to sound mean and bitter?
Oh, not at all. I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live.
Okay.
It must be weird.
It is, and I put the story in the notes so I will remember. Oh, shit, I made it big like when you were reading it. I don't know what I did. All right. So this week's weird sex. And remember, you can continue to send those stories to me, and you can just email them to me. You can DM them to me on Instagram, whatever you prefer. I love it when y'all send me the stories. It helps me out a lot. And then it also lets me know if you guys are interested. Anyway, this is a story about a man who got arrested for doing a lot of really bad things altogether. He was just having a day. He stole a car, attempted to steal a car. He wrecked a nativity scene in another car, and he also decided to have sex with a dog in front of families. Where do you think this story takes place?
Florida.
Yep. Okay, so Chad Mason, 36, was arrested recently on several charges. There's sexual activity with an animal, exposing sexual organs, and criminal mischief to a place of worship. He knew the owner of the golden doodle dog that he was fucking and was taking it out for a walk in an apartment complex. Around 4:30 p.m., it's still light outside. The Clearwater police caught him. He started having sex with the dog in front of multiple adults and a child who was under 16 years old. One of the adult witnesses confronted him, who then fled the scene to the Northwood Presbyterian Church. Now, those church folks didn't know what they were in for. He entered the church.
The judge.
And proceeded to knock over the nativity display with little baby Jesus.
Was he on drugs?
Probably. He broke several potted plants and threw the children's toys from the playground area. How the kids get in it? His actions resulted in an estimated $400 in damages to the church. He left the church and went to an adjacent neighborhood. His terror was not over yet. He destroyed a mailbox and tried to steal somebody's car. They were finally able to catch him because he was running around like a Tasmanian devil through town, and they took him into custody and booked him in the jail. And he just needs to sit down. I don't know what he was on. Case is still, hasn't made it to court yet, but he was having a time.
With a doodle.
And I'm just like, now, it's always so strange when I find these stories. There's so many people out here who really enjoy fucking these animals. Yeah. Some of them are on drugs, and I know that all of them are not. And then you just went and tore up the church because you couldn't.
Listen, oh man, that's a lot. I'm thinking about him coming to my office saying he needed therapy, and where would I start? I would refer out. 100%. That's not my area of expertise.
I know I'm a lady, but we got to call that other lady.
Are there certain therapists where that is their area of expertise, where people are sleeping with animals and they're like, I just can't stop?
More if there's like a sex therapist that deals with maybe like pedophilia or people that have sex with animals, because it is a thing. Yes, they I'm sure there is a specialty out there. I don't know a lot. I know sex therapists, but not the ones that specialize in the animal part. But yeah, I'd refer out. Yeah,
it must be
Jesus.
Stress.
I mean, well, he saw Jesus that day, so I don't even
to Jesus
and tore him up. Like what? I know Jesus. Like, now hold on.
Jesus was like, what you give me my stash back? My little cloth done fell off. That's crazy.
Hey, you guys. So, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Mm-hmm. And I personally am thinking a lot about sex with someone. And I just got so excited when I went down to the package room and saw that I had a new box from Like a Kitten. I done already bust that thing open. I thought I was going to wait till Valentine's Day, but who am I kidding?
Girl, I opened mine too. I got a pink
Are
pussycat.
You eating the candy from the box?
I got a pink pussycat gummy. It's supposed to make you feel good and feel some things. I too have been thinking about sex. I love my lover's bedroom box.
Mm-hmm. So what was in it?
It came with the gummies. It also came with, we love games around these parts. Mm-hmm. It came with a bedroom book game. So you flick the little arrow and then it lands on something for you to do with your partner. I love that. So for those of you who be bored during sex.
Yeah, or looking for a way to spice it up.
Girl, a vibrating thong.
For him.
I've never seen anything.
A little bit for you.
A little bit. Them little beads vibrate around the little lips.
Yeah. Well, I meant there's a bullet on top of the beads. So
I didn't
if you're on top, then you could get some stimulation while he's getting some stimulation from those beads.
I did not see that. Oh, y'all, this gonna be having me squirting all over the place. The last thing that I really loved, which there was way more things in the box, but it came with a portable pleasure device. It's a little egg. Easy
What does it
beat.
do?
So the man can take this out, it stretches out, and he can beat his dick and travel with
my
it.
gosh.
So he won't cheat on you. Pack this in his bag.
And it will fit in all carry-on luggage, okay? So I got the party of 2 box. I don't have any of my stuff because it's mostly used, and I thought that would be really gross to bring that in here. But I did have, I got one of those red rose suction vibrators that everybody has been looking for. So if you need one, it's in this box. And again, everything in these boxes is going to be discounted. You get it as a collection, and it's going to have some things in there that maybe you haven't heard of, maybe you have, because I thought those were sold out everywhere. Yeah. They also had a little matchbook in there for me to play with. There were some massage candles in there. There were some gummies in there. And I was really excited about those. Haven't tried those. They're shaped like little penises. And then they also had a flogger keychain. So if I want to take my naughty talents somewhere outside of the home, they'll be right there on my keychain, inconspicuous, you know?
I love that. Like a Kitten is just preparing us for our sexual endeavors.
It really is. Y'all always ask us what's a great way to spice it up. And I think you need to head to likeakitten.com/cocktails, use our promo code CockTales, and get you one of these. Superior. Don't wait. Grab your sexy box today and get 15% off when you go to likeakitten.com/cocktails. Enter code CockTales at checkout. Just go to likeakitten.com and use promo code CockTales to get 15% off these perfect Valentine's Day gifts. Again, that's likeakitten.com/cocktails, promo code CockTales, and the link is in the episode's description.
Okay, so we're going to dive right into conversation so we don't run out of time. This was my very first question for you that I always love asking all different types of therapists. Brittany.
Okay.
Is it difficult dating as a therapist?
Oh my God. When I saw that question, hell yes. Partially because people think that since I'm a therapist, I'm very aware of everything and I have it all together. One, I know a lot. I have it together-ish, but I'm very much human, you know, and I am not perfect. So that's a misconception. Also, like men that I date sometimes open up too much too soon, which is a thing. So
like they're ready for a session.
I mean, I feel like we're in a session. I remember
Can you
this
send them a bill?
I should.
You should start doing that.
I really
Just a
should
little
start
Zelle
doing that.
request.
Like, I'm like, you know what? That actually was a session. You should pay me for my damn time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they open. I mean, I want the person that I'm dating to feel comfortable with me, but a little discretion, at first. Like, let's build up to that. But giving me so much so soon is very much a turnoff for me.
Have you ever? Turn off for me too.
That would be because I'm not a therapist and I want you to shut the fuck up. Why is you telling me about your mama and your daddy?
I don't need to know about your childhood trauma. I just want to know if you want calamari or mussels for your appetizer. Like, what's going on?
Let's keep it light.
Yeah. Do they ever ask you, or do they ever start to feel like you're gonna psychoanalyze them, or that's what you're doing if you're just doing something simple like telling them an issue?
Yes, and they start off there. Are you psychoanalyzing me? Are you reading my mind? Guys, we are not psychics. Like, we do not read minds. Like, that's part of the problem with relationships, but no, they say that. I'm like, no, I'm not reading your mind. I'm just trying to get to know you. I'm just asking you questions to get to know you. Like, that's about it.
Do you sometimes hold back on letting people know that you're a therapist?
Oh, I tried. Okay, in my 20s, I did start to do that. But then in my 30s, I was like, fuck that. Like, no, I'm going to tell you this is who I am because you're going to find out sooner or later. But in my 20s,
it's similar to podcasting, not to call ourselves therapists or anything.
But you
had your job.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with my girls at Girls Night the other day. And another friend who is also a podcaster, we were saying we don't like saying it because then people have this preconceived notion about how we're going to be. And what could we call ourselves? If y'all have a suggestion, please help.
Well, yeah, because sometimes I just feel like when I'm like, I'm a podcaster, I think it sounds silly. But
and I know people think we playing.
I know they do. And I'm just like,
real
okay.
deal.
But another thing when you talk about how people are like, oh, it makes them want to talk about certain things. I have been on dates with men and it's like I say I'm a podcaster. Now we're sitting here having a debate about something I don't even want to talk to you about. Now we having a pod. I don't want want to do this? Why are we debating about relationships? This is not an episode.
And even if it was, I still hate when people come in with
ready to fight.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, let's just share our views, ask some questions, and leave it at that.
I've gotten really good at like redirecting the conversation, you know? So I'll say I'm a family therapist, but then I'll talk about I have a company and I'll run the company and not too focused on the therapist part, but I run a company of therapists. And then we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I try to redirect a little bit.
I love that. Speaking of redirecting and being mindful, I was looking at your Hardy Clinic Instagram page, and you have a lot of posts about mindfulness.
Yes.
Mindfulness in all different types of aspects. And since we normally talk about dating and relationships and sex, I was like, you know what? We get so many letters about that. Sugar is in my lip gloss. If y'all see me keep licking my lips, if you are watching
I
on
keep
YouTube.
trying to lick my lips
I'm
and then
like,
lick my teeth.
They're probably, what is wrong with her lips? It's
They're probably like, are
sugar.
they on drugs?
Right.
Like, what's going on? Why y'all licking y'all's
Why
lips?
is
Just have a little
everybody
X
licking
in the
their
middle there?
Listen, they think I'm on it too, so I'm with y'all.
So we get so many different letters and DMs from women and men about how difficult it is with dating. And we don't have it all figured out. Now, I do think we pay more attention to it because we talk about it every Thursday, sometimes more. And so me and Kiki try to be as mindful as we can now when we're dating someone or when we're in a relationship. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about mindful dating and how maybe you could help our listeners. Somebody wrote like a little snippet of a question. I'm gonna read it,
Okay.
and then I want to get like everybody's input on it. So it says, "Hey Kiki and Medinah, before I start, I want to say it was fun seeing you at the Howard tailgate, Kiki.
Hey, girl.
I said hey in passing, and I know you probably won't remember my face, but I attached a picture to this email. I archived it.
Okay.
Yay.
In any case, I'm a 25-year-old grad student working on my PhD in DC, and let's just say my love life is non-existent. I've tried the dating apps, and to no avail, nothing has worked out. Ever since my last relationship in 2019, I haven't had anything serious and barely any situationships. My sex life is a piss poor, and at the point I'm ready to get my 10 cats and go about my life. As a woman with her own place, money, and soon to be doctor, shout out to you.
I know that's right.
I don't want to deal with someone still figuring it out, but I feel like some of my standards are stopping me from dating overall. While I wouldn't mind having a significant other, I do want to take the advantage of my youth and actually experience dating. I feel like I've only been on a handful of dates and I don't want it to remain that way forever. I know I'm young and this is the time to have fun, but I don't know who to have fun with when all of the people I encounter are terrible. What should I do, ladies? Sincerely, a girl who wants to enjoy her 20s.
That's, yeah.
And I feel like when you're in those moments, you can kind of just start giving anybody a chance. Now you sad, now you...
Yeah, I think it was key there what she said that about her expectations, having them kind of being high, but then also being her 20s, and that she wants somebody to have it figured out.
Which is crazy.
But who in their 20s have it figured out?
Right.
You know, so...
If you met me in my 20s, you'd be like, are you okay?
Listen, that's what the 20s and even 30s are for. Like, even
Figure out
40s
life.
for other people too, and 50s. Like, life is about figuring it out, but especially your 20s. So I do think maybe loosening up a little bit. Like, you know, somebody you probably wouldn't give a chance, or if you're giving a chance, maybe having some empathy. That's one thing I preach when we talk about being mindful. Empathy. Like, maybe put yourself in this guy's shoes. You know, what's his background? Like, if he's, you know, getting his degree, he doesn't have money to take you out. Well, let's say he's in graduate school like she is. He doesn't have a lot of money to take you out. Girl, meet him at McDonald's. You know, like you're in your 20s, have fun with it. Or we're different now. It's 2023. You want to pay. You know, maybe on the first date you pay if that's what you're into.
Ooh, now
you know,
spicy combo.
Ooh, you're going very fast. You're going very fast.
but pay at like
But you did
McDonald's
say you
and
got
other
money.
things like that. But she said that she has it, so it's like you can't have these high expectations with your demographic, depending on what type of man you're dating, and then you're not trying to give a little bit too, because we are in a different time period. Chivalry is not dead, but it just looks a little different sometimes, and depending on the type of man you're dating, depends on what type of.
I love that you talk about the type of man you're dating, because that is true. It's like, okay, you're going to be a doctor and you're saying you're making all this money. If you want you just know for certain you want your man to be a certain way, you have to find that type of man. You can't go find a student who's struggling and think he's going to be able to step up to the plate. He can't do that yet. So you're going to girl, if you want to have fun and you just want niggas tricking on you, you got to go find old men.
And
I was thinking older men too, to be honest.
yeah, if that's what you're trying to do for fun. And then you also have to think about, I know that people will always say, don't date potential. But there's a little asterisk. You're in school right now. Look at those people that's in your PhD program and at the other professional schools around there. Go down to the law school library. Go down to the medical library. Don't ignore the interns. Let me tell you something. Every guy that I dated at Howard who already had the money and could spend it, they seemed like their life just went to total shit. And then the guys who didn't have it, but they were students like me, I also didn't have it. They were students like me. They worked hard. They had their internships. They were very focused. They are doing it, and they look so much better. Girl, at the tailgate, I was just like, God damn, wish I was fine back then. I am sorry. You don't want to be like this. I'm not in my 20s, even though I lie about it sometimes.
Do not sleep on them.
I think that's something where you could really look at potential, because you can consider earning potential, but also what they're going to be. And maybe you just got started a little bit sooner than them. But when it comes to fun, girl, just have fun. So he's not going to always be fine. Or if he's fine, he's not going to always have money. But it's just for fun, so what difference does it make?
Right. No one's going to have it together. I watched this dating show, Indian Matchmaker. I kind of love it.
I like that show.
I love that show.
But one thing she said that one of my girlfriends really had an issue with is that you will never find clearly 100%. You'll find 60 or 70% of what you want in a man. That's still for me a hard pill to swallow. But
because that's like an F or a D in school.
Like literally, but
I don't want to believe that. But I feel like with the Indians, they be really like, no, he need to be like this. Them Indian parents don't be playing.
You're very strict. But it's some validity to what she said, because again, not one guy is going to have everything. We have to again have a little empathy.
Just like you don't have everything.
I don't.
I'm saying you might be a doctor,
true.
about to be a doctor, but I'm sure in your personal life there are some areas where you're lacking or slacking.
And I think with the expectations, that's where she's lacking. Lacking to ease up a little bit, with what she wants. So again, what kind of energy are you putting out too? I believe in that. So if you feel like everybody's horrible, everybody's terrible, do you feel that when you're out, like on campus or walking around? Because people can feel the energy if you're not being open. Like, and it's a real thing. I've experienced it, especially dating lately. Like, men coming left and right because I'm putting out this good energy. I'm like, okay.
Don't it feel good?
Yeah. So it's about what you're putting out too. So again, you're managing your expectations, still having boundaries, of course, but just being a lot more open.
I think that's mindful
How much fun
dating.
can you have? Because you getting your PhD. We need you studying, sister.
Sister.
We need you to do this right, because we want you to graduate and be able to be doctor.
Yes.
Whatever your
She
name
just want to
is.
go and have a good time, and I get it, but
Just
Kiki is
loosen up.
right.
It's
You gotta loosen
fun.
up. You have to
Loosen
loosen
up,
up.
because you also don't want to be getting bogged down with a relationship that's going to have you making bad decisions and putting your life on hold. You really just need to find a fine brokey, and it's going to make it so much better.
I also
wrap
think
it up.
women specifically need to understand that dating is not always going to be perfect. Like, you're going to have a couple duds and a couple.
And just go for the experience. You can learn something about
Yeah.
yourself. Like, oh, I never realized that this really isn't that important to me. Or that this really is. Or he checked me on something that I didn't even realize I had been doing. And I've probably been doing it all my life. And he's right. And I done lost him. Let me do better.
Right.
You can learn from them. Like, you learn
Yeah.
from these experiences. So you get to tell, like, funny stories later.
You could even make a podcast.
So, girl, relax and
Right.
have fun, please.
Listen up.
Okay, so while we were in South Africa, Kiki, one of the main theme of the workshops was getting unstuck.
Okay.
So it was getting unstuck in life, getting unstuck from a lot of things. And I was like, wow, this would be a great topic to bring up with relationships, romantic relationships, getting unstuck in relationships. Someone DM'd me the other day and was like, me and my boyfriend are breaking up and I don't know how to get over it. And I know I've been in that situation before. I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like, how can I move on from this person? There was one person that took me years to move on from them. And so I wanted to know from a professional, what would you say to these women that just be like, I love him, and even though he don't love me and he has moved on and he's married and he got kids, maybe one day I'm gonna get him back. They stuck in the relationship.
I mean, I would ask them, like, what is it about that particular relationship specifically? Like, what are they stuck on? Because, on the retreat, we talked a lot about like cognitive, like what are you thinking about that impacts your emotions, what impacts your behaviors. So what specifically, when you think of this relationship, what are you thinking about? Because clearly it didn't work out. So what is keeping you holding on? Like, was it
What's
that
that
great?
memory?
Like a lot of times, what they say, we call it like baby something. Like when we have been through some situation, we only focus on the positive. When someone has a baby, they think about the fun times of the baby. They don't tell you about all the other shit that's happened. And so that's what we do with relationships. We think about we think
Booty
about
got stitches.
yes, we think about the good times of the relationship, but we don't think about all the bad. So I would say list out the bad. Like what were the pros of the relationship that you enjoyed, but what were the issues? Because a lot of times they were serious issues that probably you didn't want to get over or get past, but really impacted the relationship. And he wasn't that perfect. So
Because it did not work out.
it did not work out. So be real with yourself. Like what were the cons of the relationship? What didn't work out?
Do you feel like women sometimes have a level of delusion when it comes to
God, yes.
when they're dating, when we're dating? I'm saying like I'm not.
Do you think women more than men?
I think we're more tolerant and yes, delusional. I would use that word. We think of like the potential thing, but we take it beyond. Like,
It's
know,
not like he's in school.
We make it
it's like, he
whole-
could be nice. He could treat me better if he was just having a better day. If his team was winning, he'll be nicer. Stuff like that. I
Or
hear
even
people
sometimes
say.
when it's like, have you ever heard someone tell you a story about what the person that they're dealing with did? And you can always see it better when you're not in it. And it's like,
oh yeah,
you're listening to the story and you're like,
Stand around for that?
yeah, you're like, but wait, did you hear the lie that he told? How did you believe that? And it's like you went in your mind somehow and you're like, I believe what he's telling me because it's like all of a sudden you get dumb.
you should write novels. Whoever's still doing that.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
I've
you'd be a
been
great
there and it's
fiction
really
writer.
weird how we,
Yeah.
How
there
we
was
do that? Yeah,
There was a guy I was dating. I was head over heels for him. We talked about him a lot on the show. His name was 6A Bay. And when I brought him up to an ex, the ex was like, I kept saying after every bad thing that he had did to me, I was like, but he's such a great guy. And he was like,
What is
what? Why you keep saying that when he was dealing with 6 different women and you never knew about it and he lied enough and tricked you into believing that? Why are you still saying he's not a great guy? Like to somebody he was, but he wasn't to you. And I was like, I guess you're right.
Yeah. I think we just need a reality check. Like we need to check ourselves, okay? Because we get caught up in like, we want to give them a chance. We really like them, but like, what is the bad?
Right.
What is the bad? Like I had a client do that, like with her current, hopefully ex-boyfriend. Like what is the bad? Like there's a reason why you kind of want to break up with him, why you feel things aren't working. Like what is the bad? Let's focus on that. Yes, he's a good person. I think we all have the good in us, but some people ain't shit. And doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they're not shit and they're not meant for you. And that's okay. And then we can move on from that. But we need to wake up a little bit. Like we need a reality check. Like what is the bad? Is he saying this, but what is his actions? That's the thing where we get caught up in. We were like, but he's saying this. He's a good person, but what is this nigga doing?
Right.
What is he doing? What is he showing you? What is he showing you? And sticking with that. And it's hard because it's feelings and you like them. But then you're like, no, I want something better. This isn't going to get better. Like we have to like check ourselves. And I'm really big on it with my friends. I will check them real quick. I'm like, girl, all right, but did he do this? But did he do that?
Bring it back up.
Bring it back. Yeah, I'm like, did he do that?
Now you're not
okay.
getting invited to brunch no more. All my friends just don't invite me anymore because I'm that friend too. And they'd be
Yes.
like, well, I'm just
No.
not going to talk to you no more.
And they don't. They don't. And they don't.
And I
They
think
don't.
too, sometimes people get stuck in this delusional pattern of thinking, men and women.
Yes,
Because you don't want to feel played. You don't want to be the victim. You don't want to feel like you got.
Yeah.
But if you didn't tell everybody the story, we know.
we know you got baby.
And it's okay. We're still here for you.
I love you. I got before. I got. Y'all got.
I get got all the time.
Listen, I
All the time. That is not stop. So that's why I be taking these extended breaks from y'all's ashy sons. Because it's like, God again. God damn it. I thought I took the blinders off. Try again next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think taking breaks is good. Like I am a big proponent of that. Like my ex, who's like my best friend, we talked about it. He took a break last year, and he's like, "Oh my God, I just feel a lot better," because he was always in some kind of situation, and he was getting played and getting used too. So I'm like, if you take a break, focus on yourself a little bit, and then get out there and try again. We will fall, but we'll get back up.
It's a part of the game.
It really is.
It's the risk you
Ups
take
and
when you
downs.
dating, shawty.
Listen, you got to bring your boxing gloves.
You got to get ready.
You
gotta
have
stay ready.
so much equipment. You gotta stay ready. You need your
Yeah.
boxing gloves and your Kleenex. You need some Motrin and a little vodka.
girl.
You need your bubble bath
Listen.
stuff and a heated blanket, and maybe one of those blankets with the arm, like on Amazon, so somebody else can hold you, so you don't call him back when you get lonely.
You gonna
throw
get
your
back up.
clothes
Oh
in
my
the dryer.
God.
Y'all always be laughing at me when I say this. Throw them clothes in the dryer and just cuddle up next to that. It's gonna be warm. Fall asleep quick.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you got to do. Now, I wanted to bring up friendship breakups and creating boundaries in that. Like, speaking about
Those are worse
sharing
for
these
me.
experiences with your friends, trying to create boundaries with what I'm open to you talking to me about, what I'm open to talking to you about, and then like sometimes that's disrespected and friends break up.
Yeah. So ironically, I've had a few friend breakups like over the past 3 years, and these were like close friends. 2 of them definitely needed to happen. The other one was a surprise, but it's fine.
Excuse me.
So the issue with definitely one of the relationships was the boundary thing, where she actually told me this summer, I have too many rules to being my friend, right?
Oh.
I was like, oh,
Did you have a
Okay.
friendship contract?
listen, apparently I signed it a long time ago. We were friends from high school. And so I thought about that. I'm like, too many rules. No. Actually, those are boundaries. You know, because she was one of those people that wanted to talk, you know, about her ex-husband
All the time.
And
I
like unload on you?
and unload. And I told her, I said, hey, you know, I really don't want to hear about him. And then later she came back and she was like, but I have to deal with him. You know, like they have
Yeah.
a child together. I'm like, you do. You signed up for that shit. I did not. Like, I'm your friend. I supported you all these years with this man. I'm good now.
That becomes a lot, especially when it's like now our whole relationship. We go to dinner. I'm trying to just have fun and turn up. I'm happy, and the whole thing turns into me just sitting there looking like this.
Literally hearing about your stuff.
I can't even say nothing because now
Yeah.
you just this is a therapy session.
And that's what I tell my friends now. If it's not happy stuff about you dating these men, I don't want to hear it. Go to therapy about the other stuff. It's not for me. You know, and she didn't like that.
Or just come to my house. I'm not spending all this money on a dinner. You come over when
Yeah.
I'm making spaghetti or something, and it's like, all right, well, in between commercial breaks,
Let's
we can
talk.
talk.
Yeah. But I think, you know, I get that our friends, they need that outlet. And, you know, and that's part of, I have that with my friends. You know, I talk to them about certain things, but I try not to put all of that on them. Like our journal, I write things out. You know, I might get on Instagram and send it to my close friends, but I don't want to burden them with it. And that's what it is. People being more mindful and then being empathetic with where your friend is. Maybe she got some shit going on and she want to hear about what you got going on right now. You know, so.
or maybe your friend is even like on the flip side. It's like, I know I've dealt with this with friends and it sucks because you do want to be there for them and you don't want to fuck up the relationship. But it's like every time we come around and we talk about something, you're putting all this weight on me. You have something to load off, and I have something happy to tell you. Now I can't even tell you
because
now it looks like I don't care what you're going through, but it's also like you don't care what I'm going through. I'm excited. I'm on tour. You haven't asked me once about it.
Yeah. I would challenge
that's
you though
hurtful.
to still stand up. No, to still tell them about that. Because if, again, with friendships, it's supposed to be reciprocal. It's not going to always be even, but it needs to be some kind of reciprocity. So in those moments, they might have shared something that wasn't as great. You'd be like, you know what, I understand, but I do want to share something that's great that's going on with me.
And then there's this weird vibe of like,
And if they like, well, girl, I'm going to tell you
know what I mean?
anyway.
Now we're sitting here like, okay, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to some friends the other day. Now mine was kind of the opposite, and this is like my tightest group of friends. Everybody has been unloading their shit for a while, and then something bad happened with a family member, and I was like, y'all, I really need to talk. If you can't talk about it, y'all go to the other group chat that I'm not in and talk over there, but I really need to talk to somebody. So I'm telling them what's going on, and then somebody enters the chat and is talking about something. It was happy, but it was like some bullshit off of a meme, off of Instagram, like nothing that even pertains to your life, and something really sad happened, and you just totally ignored that. I
I'm
gave
mad.
you the warning. It's a text message, and you just scrolling past it, and then one friend said something, and I was like, I'm just not going to say anything else, and it makes me me shut down. And that's something that you remember when you do tell your friends. And I think that if you can't handle it or whatever is going on with you, that's cool too. But I also think it's rude to totally disregard someone's feelings, happy or sad, you know?
I think so too. But I also, again, with friendships, like challenge to say something, you know, because again, part of the issue is that we let a lot of things go unsaid. And no, like even if you come back the next day or a week later, being able to like challenge them on that way, actually, this really hurt my feelings. Like, this is why, you know, really opening that line of communication so people are more aware. Granted, we may have to have that conversation more than once because we're human, you know,
definitely
but it gets to a point where you decide whether you want to continue this friendship or not. You know, it took me years with some of my friendships to get to that point, but
and then
that's
if
where
you
I was.
decide to not and you go through the friendship breakups, it's really interesting because I'm someone who, unfortunately, I've gone through a lot of friendship breakups and they are more detrimental than romantic breakups. And it's weird because I don't think you really get over a friendship breakup, especially somebody that was in your life for like the defining moments in your life. You were broke together. You went, they knew all your exes. Like I have one specific friend, I will never get over the breakup. It's really weird. And it was like, it got to a point where it was just like, yeah, I think it's just, we got to figure out how to like, you know, move forward.
Right.
And she recently reached out to me. I thought it was super inappropriate. It was like 8 a.m. in the morning. She sent me this message, just like unloading all this stuff and saying how like, you know, you have your podcast and you use everything for content normally I'm a Libra and I gotta tell you that story.
Yeah.
I'm so non-confrontational that sometimes I get stepped on.
Yeah.
Nah, when I turn up.
Right.
I don't do it a lot. And so normally with her, it was always like the argument and the reason why the friendship broke up, she always made it seem like it was my fault. But I had a argument too. I just never really said it because it was the way she was coming. It was like, dang, well, you are right. I try to be aware, but almost too aware to where it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. I have a voice in this too. And so I ended up just telling her, I was like, this is not even, I can't believe you're even coming at me like this early in the morning. Didn't even say good morning. You didn't even ask me if I was in the space. You know, now we like talking about spaces and if we in the space. You didn't even ask me if I'm in the space.
Are you driving? Because I'm about to rock some shit up, you know? Like,
and it was one of those, no, let me tell you about you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we just can't rekindle this because this is ridiculous. It's so much. That is the type of heartache when you lose a friend that, like I said, you don't really get over it. You just kind of bury it.
Yeah.
I had a friendship like that, and that was one of the things she said. That's why I made that face. You use everything for content.
And I
well,
asked
bitch,
for
it's my job. Get right.
Yeah.
When you're a content
But
creator,
when I say that, now I'm fucked up.
but when you want tickets to something, you trying to pull up and see if you can get, come on, bruh. I'm like, y'all know this is my job. And I ask everybody for permission. And if you want to say no, say no.
Yeah.
It's real. I was like, wow. Like the more we grow in this space, it's interesting to see the people around us change.
Yes. Like they really become, they said when you blow up, you can't bring everybody with you.
Ooh,
You know,
It's looking like I can't bring nobody but my niece. It's gonna be me and a baby.
And she not even grown yet.
But one thing that I am realizing, because I'm experiencing some of the same things, is that the people that I'm meeting, like you, you know, and you now, Kiki, like the people that I'm meeting now, like that are in this space, like we understand each other, you know, and so we're gonna continue to blow up together. And so that is the thing. You'll create new relationships. It won't be like before, but it'll be healthier.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel you on
That is definitely true. I've made some really good friends in a shorter amount of time with more like-minded people. Some friends do similar things or the same thing, and then some friends don't, but just their view on life, that stuff doesn't stress them out. They understand why I'm doing it, and they're like, what can I do to help? This is not my world. I don't want to be in it, but I'm proud of you, and I just want to support you.
Intimidated by it.
It's like none of that.
Yeah.
And it's good to have those people.
It is. And with the friendship breakups, like you can mourn the loss. It's a loss. Like I'm sad. It hit me last week. These were my dogs, you know, and I still love them. We text every blue moon, not a lot. And I'm mourning that because they were a part of my life for such a long time. But then I think about, I still have other people in my life that I care about. I'm meeting other people. So it's just kind of how life goes.
Why it's a wild thing, those friendship breakups and setting those boundaries.
Those
and
make
folks
me really
mad.
sad. I'm probably going to go home and be sad when I think about some of the ones I've lost. There are a few I have just not gotten over, and I don't think I will.
Yeah, I don't think
And
I
that's
will either.
okay.
And every now and again, like the song will remind you, and you'll be sad, or you'll see a
You have a
Facebook memory.
Or my iPhone memory.
Now you crying.
What is up with these memories? I'm sick
like
of
'em
Google.
though.
No, like some days I'm like, I ain't trying to see that.
Right.
Like some days I'm like, oh, some days like, Africa.
I wish you could put a little note in there. When you see this bitch's face, don't bring that shit.
I know.
Delete it.
Like, exit out. Not today or ever.
Or
but,
show me more of this man's face, this young man. How's he been doing? I'm going to use this as an excuse to hit him up. My memory.
Hey, big head.
Right.
So speaking of boundary setting with friendship breakups, we also wanted to talk about boundary setting and dating. And somebody has sent a little short question again. I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
It might be funny, it might not be.
Okay.
What's the difference from exclusively dating? Well, what's the difference from exclusively sexing, exclusively dating, and an exclusive relationship with someone? Is there a true difference? If so, what are the clear boundaries between them? Do you meet other people? Do you go on dates, take trips, but not sexually engage, still connect to apps, flirt with, kiss, physically touch them or allow them to touch you for your arousal or their arousal? Where is the line drawn for yourself opposed to the line for your partner has drawn? Are your boundaries the same as your partner's? Clearly, your partner would need to explain what their boundaries are for you, but what stage do you feel you need to adhere to them?
Yesterday, you worried about all these boundaries. You didn't have the conversation.
Facts. Like, and that's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
you boundaries are for yourself. Boundaries are for you to protect yourself in any kind of relationship. So you really need to like set your boundaries head on, like at the very beginning. This is what I'm not for. This is my like non-negotiable. Sierra talked about it. I loved it. Like, she was like, what are your non-negotiables? And it shouldn't be a crazy list, but those are your non-negotiables. And then everything else, maybe you can come to some kind of compromise, but every relationship is different. So it depends on what you guys agree on, but your boundaries should be for you. That you shouldn't, some things, again, should be a non-negotiable and you won't, let go for anybody.
And you really got to stick to it.
Oh, 100%, because they will try.
Yeah, and you have to set those specifics yourself. You can't ask us, because what I'm okay with dating or having casual sex or being in a relationship with may not fly for you. You have to ask yourself, what do you feel comfortable with? Not what you feel comfortable with that you think he feels comfortable with too.
But
You. And then you can tell him where you're at and he'll tell you where he's at, and you see if it's a match or not.
And if it's not a match, it's just not a match.
Don't be trying to bend on your boundaries, because then you're going to be upset later.
Right. You'll wake up and you'll be like, who am I? Like, you won't even recognize
How did you
yourself.
get here?
Exactly.
Right.
So really doing some self-inventory, yes. What are my hard limits?
Yeah, that's really important. Now, Medinah was telling me that you kind of specialize in communicating with Black men specifically.
Okay.
And I was curious to know, what are some of the things that Black men say in sessions that they feel misunderstood about?
In relationships specifically.
So that was when I saw the question, I was like, let me ask my ex-boyfriend. This is like perfect.
Y'all have a very healthy relationship.
We really do. I'm like so grateful for him. And so he's helped me grow, especially a lot in this last year. So yummy. So one thing that I asked him this question specifically because I wanted to just get his perspective and then I'll expound upon it. Okay. So he said communication, of course. He was like, Black men aren't the best communicators.
We know.
And so he was like not holding, this is his words and then I'll go into it. He said not holding not holding it against them fully, having a little patience with them, which, we've talked about. And then
My lips got tight thinking about patience with them.
My lips got tight
I'm
in
listening.
the session I was having with the Black man that I was trying to communicate with. I was like,
yeah, and I did say patience to you. And like, so patience, and then he said having patience with them, and then a little bit more understanding and a little bit more empathy for them. I added the empathy part because it is a struggle. Like, us being women, again, we talked about this just now. We're more tolerant of things in relationships, I would say, than some men are. And so the fact that we feel like we keep taking a lot, but then we have to think about the empathy part, putting ourselves in their shoes. Black men specifically are, boys don't cry. Keep your feelings inside. You're a little man. Like, society do not allow them to express themselves, right? So then sometimes now when they do, some women, Black women, will be very emasculating. What you crying for? You crying like a little baby? Like, and women do that. I've had a lot of Black men come to me, and I'm like, really? They were like, yes. Like, they do that. So it's a very mixed messages that they're getting from us. So they feel very much misunderstood, especially around that communication piece, because they're some of them try more than others to communicate, but us being patient with them, but also encouraging them to go to therapy or, some kind of outlet, men's group, something, because it's only so much patience that we can have with them, but I do think we can have a little bit more patience and empathy with them because it's a lot. Think about how you have your girlfriends, even though sometimes they be on other stuff, but you can still talk to them. You have family members, cousins, you said your niece, maybe if she's older, like you can go to these people. Oh, well, I'm sure she's a great listener. But we have these outlets, y'all, that we can go talk to people. Men don't.
We do.
They do not. So they're keeping all of this inside. They're like, I love, I like Kiki, but like, how do I, what do I do? Like how, and then the homeboy probably ain't shit, and so
that's why
he may not
just talk to the other bitches.
Exactly. And that's not, but because that is what they know. Like, they don't know just a difference. And so they don't always have someone of sound mind to give them advice so they can come back and actually talk to us.
So do you think that like we need to be softer, like when it comes to dealing with your man? So if a problem does arise, let's say I'm trying to think of a good example that would be common and relatable to people. So let's say, I can't even think.
A problem where it's like,
where you would need to be like, let me see his side of this and not be turning up and let him, because those be the moments where it's like, what are
I have one. Why? This is what I would want to say to somebody. Why do I always have to micromanage what you're doing around the house when you say that you're here to help me, but I have to tell you to take out the trash when you just tried to stuff a water bottle in there? You know the trash needs to come out. Why am I having to tell you these things over and over again? That's irritating. Oh, well, you didn't just tell me. I don't want to have to tell you. Oh, you're here. I want you to see these things and just learn to do them. Because you would expect me to just do certain things. Why can't you? And they just be... So that's a conversation where I feel like I could probably be softer. I would say it much more rude than that, but I was trying to...
Yeah, definitely. And so definitely in those situations. So we use the example because that was kind of similar to the example I used at the retreat. We talked about dating and relationships. Again, changing how you think about it. So again, if you're thinking, all right, maybe I know he forgot for the 50th time, but he might have had a long day. Something to kind of like calm your mind, which will calm your mood.
I'm supposed to give him grace.
You have to give him grace because they're not like us. We are
They
are not like us. Not saying that they can't multitask and stuff, but they are not like us. The way we move is very different. So we have to really keep that in mind with dealing with them. They are not women.
They just make it so hard because even like sometimes when I see black women talking to black men on social media about like issues around dating. Sometimes people are talking about who's paying for what, who's doing what in the house.
I'm tired of that conversation.
I'm tired of the conversation too, and I really don't know why we keep having it. But men always get mad when you want more. And I don't really understand it. Like we get men in our DMs and comments all the time, like, we shouldn't want more. And I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, but I don't understand.
They want more. What do you mean?
Like, let's say like
we want more.
Women want more. So let's say
we're not accepting bare minimum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the men get in the comments and they're so upset. And they're like, y'all just want too much. You're a gold digger. You just care about money. Well, no, that's not the case. I want this soft life. I like luxury. Why are you mad?
I think again, it's the mixed messages because they're dealing with certain women that say that, and then they're seeing the comments of women saying that, and then they may be attracting women that show that. This one guy, we were friends, and he took this woman that he just met on a date. He took her to Ruth Chris, and then he took her to get massages, right? And then he had some, he had a little bit of a coin. No, yes, but he was like, I meet these women, they have these high standards. Well, you're taking them to.
Well, that's one of those boundaries that you have to set for. If you don't really want to do that, don't do it.
And then he's thinking to get a woman, he has to do these things. Well. So, but again, they're not like us with their thinking. So if they see certain things, they're getting these messages, and they're like, okay, well, this woman wants this, so all women must want this. So I had to tell a guy, I'm like, I got it. Like, you don't have to do all of that for me. It's nice. I appreciate the gesture, but showing, that being grateful for it too. Because some women aren't. They come with that expectation.
That's true. And that's not nice.
And it's not nice, but a lot of women do that. So think about their experiences. You think about all the stuff we've been through with men. Think about the experiences they've been through with women, that have used them, that are using them or use their homeboy. And he's thinking, okay, well, I can't be like that, even though his homeboy might have told the whole story. But he's getting a piece of that information, thinking that women are gold diggers, women are using people. So again, I'm trying to put ourselves in their shoes. I'm not saying not hold them accountable, and I'm not saying take it for a long period of time, but the way we communicate and when we talk back to them, being mindful of how we say things.
Now, this is not nice of me to say, but sometimes when these people get me worked up in the comments, I'd be like, you would never get a bitch like me. Anyway, you don't have any experience. I would not talk to you, not because you don't want to pay for stuff, but I see what you've posted. I don't want it. I don't like your attitude. I don't like how you address me. It's so many other things besides money. And you're talking about women want this. You probably haven't touched a woman in 27 years.
But a lot of these comments, I feel like
angry.
most negative
Stop.
comments are coming from a place of hurt.
Yes.
A place of hurt and then probably lack.
You want to be able to do the things, but you can't, so you're mad.
Exactly. And that insecurity plays a part, feeling like, okay, I don't have all this money that women want. Not every woman is focused on that. A lot of women are okay with you just being able to take care of yourself and then definitely help out sometimes, but not even right away. Again, it depends on what type of woman you're attracting. If you're if you're doing all this stuff out the gate,
or
the
attracted
woman
to.
That is true. Because if you're attracting women that like money, you have to.
That's what they want.
That's what they want.
Why do we have to change what we want, whatever that may be, whether it's money or time or a bunch of babies or whatever it is we want? It's like they look at us and they get mad because maybe one of us is a person that they want. They don't have whatever it is that we say we want. Find somebody else who wants it. Stop trying to beat a belief into somebody else. It's the same thing with boundaries. Find somebody who is okay with your boundaries, who's not going to cross them. And you're okay with theirs.
Yeah, and if you find yourself upset and debating on dates, you're probably not picking the right people. You're not staying true to your boundaries.
Because you can have a good time on a date. High end, low end, it don't matter.
Whatever end,
Some
baby.
women don't
West
even
end.
like dates.
Yes, that's true. One thing, Jadena, I love him, and he was on the Bumble.
That's a handsome man.
The Bumble. Tiana Taylor has a little show on Bumble, sponsored by Bumble, and he was on there, and I just love what he said. And this is what I say to couples. I say this to everyone. When dating, we need to be mindful of two things: chemistry and compatibility. A lot of times we have that chemistry, but we are not always compatible, and we need to let that shit go.
I don't even know how
chemistry
people
be having you stuck.
I know, but
It's like glue. We came together and made glue.
But we're
see, that's
raggedy glue.
That's when I tell the bitches that people that think you want. Sorry, we is educated.
Yes.
When people think when they are so focused on the money, and then I see people get married, and it's like you're getting divorced shortly after because you weren't compatible.
You don't even like him.
Every date doesn't need
like
to
sex
be. We rich and we blowing money. Some of those dates need to be the types of dates where you get to know each other.
And also, I like activity dates, right?
Yeah.
But I also do like after a few activities and some meals where we can have real conversations and talk for hours and hours. I think it's nice to have dates where you can do something, not necessarily a dinner, but you can just kind of sit and just be, and you don't have to fill every space with conversation and activity and see if is this person irritating you the way that they breathe?
Right.
Like, can you
Listen,
be
do you like
around
his
them?
face? Do you like his face? Can you sit there and look at his face for hours?
Well, if it's
even
date
when
2, yeah.
Listen.
Now date 1, I don't know.
But I'm just saying, but that's part of it. Like, do you actually like him as a person?
Pay attention to how I told my friend this other day, what is your body telling you? Because it tells
Hop
you
up on
something.
it.
It does.
Sometimes it tells you to hop up on it, but then sometimes you're on a date and you're like, I just don't know why, but I don't like.
And I feel
you're making me
uncomfortable.
mad.
And you feel uncomfortable. We really do need to
All
check
up
in
in
with our
here.
bodies. Yes. It's called a body scan. We need to scan our bodies and see where we are and how we feel. Men the same way. If you feel uncomfortable with this woman, maybe the nerves or maybe she ain't it.
I have another question. What about when we want to share something, men or women?
Okay.
Because we do have a lot of guys who listen to the show. What about when it's something good? Sometimes I think people have a hard time expressing feelings. I'm people. Expressing positive feelings and saying nice things is way too easy. Y'all are not surprised, but it's way too easy for me to say something I don't like
Of course.
than it is for me to pour out all the things that I do like. And I know that part of that is like, I need you to, you don't have to say it back, but do you have any feelings like that? Do you appreciate my company like I appreciate your company? Why do you think people have such a hard time? And what advice would you give to those people, me and them?
Expressing feelings. So, okay, it goes back to
The good feelings.
The good feelings. So a lot of time, it is easier, like you said. It's just so much, it's just easier to get out the negative. It's just like it comes easy. So we have to work at positive things, like literally we have to really think about, okay, what am I happy about? Because think about your interactions with your girlfriends. Do they share positive stuff, or are they usually sharing negative stuff? It's just something common. So it takes more work to think about the positive things. So it's being mindful of that.
That is crazy.
It really is.
And even like with friends, sometimes I've been doing better about this lately. Just saying nice things. It's like, okay, we're in a good place. Everything is fine. There's no issues, nothing like that. But we'll forget to say like, oh, I love you, or just checking on you. Are you okay? Little bitty things like that. And it means a lot.
Yeah.
It
But
does.
we just let it go.
And even
Not
I think
happen.
about with small talk, sometimes with strangers, people be like, did you hear about them twins that got kidnapped? And it's like, well, why are we talking about
Well, what twins?
And again, redirecting.
What twins is this?
Or somebody will be like, you ever been talking to old ladies and they're like, Cheryl died. And you're like, why is this the first thing we talking
That's
about?
what happens every time I go to Louisiana. All they do is go to funerals.
Yeah. And then I'm going to start being like, do we have anything positive?
Where there are any babies born.
Listen, redirecting the conversation. You someone has to start it, So if you're bringing this up, so that means you're self-aware, which is great. So you have to start that. Like, say to your friends, I love you. It will rub off on them. Like I do a big thing when I'm in a good space. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is such a great moment. And then I'll tell people if I'm around them, if I love them, I love you. I'm grateful for you. I did that today with my team. Like, we were texting and they were like, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I was like, you know what? I'm so grateful for y'all. I always let them know to keep the positive so I can be mindful of that. One, it helps me kind of calm down and, be in the moment. But two, it helps them to hear that too. So, but someone has to start it. So push yourself. Practice. It's going to take time. But
It's probably going to take another 10 years, but I'm going to work on it.
listen, everything's a balance, like we'll figure it out. It happens. But
I love you, Kiki.
I love you too.
And I appreciate you for letting me join CockTales with you.
And I'm glad you stayed.
That felt good.
Yeah.
Oh, my eyes got juicy. Oh, okay. So on that note, we are going to move on to Indecisive Diane. And when we come back, we'll do one advice and then we'll move on to CockTales.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? What do you want?
I'm sorry, I got to Boogaloo a little early smoking a hookah. Listen up. February 11th is the official after party at Boogaloo for the CockTales Valentine's Day special. So grab your girls, grab your bae, or come alone. We strongly suggest table reservations, so call your rich friends and text 404-464-7705. Be there or be square and bored. Bye. Ladies, you're free all night.
Okay, let me take a sip before we do this.
That was very good, Jessica. That was tasty. It was like a child adult drink.
It's kind of
like, this is very delicious.
Texting somebody you don't need to. All right. Okay, you guys. So we are back from Indecisive Diane, and it's time for the advice. If you would like to ask us a question on the show and you're looking for a little help, you can email us at advice@cocktailspod.com.
They are both fairly short, so I'll speed through mine.
Okay.
The title is, Should We Break Up?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Most of the time when people have this question, it'd be yes.
I know.
Okay. And she said, keep me anonymous, please. Hi, Kiki and Medinah. I recently found your podcast and I love it. Anywho, I am in the military and I met my current boyfriend while overseas. We leave our duty stations and both go to different overseas places in the height of COVID, or we left. We have not seen each other since July of 2020.
God damn.
I know y'all
2020?
cheating.
And y'all,
That's
okay.
July 2020?
People had babies since then.
Like,
The thing that bothers me is he gets upset and automatically blocks me or starts being short with me in his text responses. This has happened multiple times. For example, he went to the States for training, which was paid for, and he asked me last minute to fly to the States from overseas to see him. I didn't do it. And I wasn't gonna do it. Paying for a last minute ticket from overseas is expensive. So a few months go by and I want to take a trip with my work friend. He's a gay guy. He got mad and said I couldn't come to the States to see him, but I could take a trip with another nigga. Mind you, that entire trip would have been the cost of my one-way ticket to the States. The sex is bomb. Oh, the sex is bomb. And he will do anal. My fantasy. But that ain't a reason to stay. I'm sure I can find another man to do what I love. Anyway, I know what to do, but I want to hear your advice. Thanks. Trying to fly to the live show. I really love this podcast. Thanks for reading. Sent from my iPhone.
so she hasn't seen him since 2020.
She hasn't seen him since July 2020. But
Okay.
she went on a trip with her gay friend. I
You got a pen pal, sweetie.
Literally.
But I don't know why he wouldn't go half on a ticket with her. Maybe y'all both could have invested in the ticket.
That would have been something better than just being like, oh, you won't spend the money to come out here. You went for free for work.
This is true.
I do think he's cheating on you. Would you agree?
He's definitely probably I think he has a whole relationship.
He might
I'm
have
so
a wife.
serious,
You know
like-
how y'all military folks do.
That, but he's in a whole relationship, man. Like, and he blocks you randomly. The communication is lacking. Let that shit go.
Yeah, you got to just let it go. That
Like-
is really short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where it's just time to end it.
You knew it, and this is your confirmation.
And you'll be okay. You ain't even seen him. Do you know what he looked like still?
I know.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
When is it?
'Cause I know I
2020?
look
It is
different from
2023.
It's 2023.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to move on.
Ooh-wee. All right.
You'll meet someone else, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay. So, backdoor breakup. Please help. I wonder what that means.
Okay.
Did he stop fucking you in the ass? Or did you get broken up twice really close together? Okay. Hola, ladies. Been a fan for a while, but I know I'm only on episode 55. God damn, you got a long way to go. You got years and years and years to go. Okay. So, it's wild the circumstances happen to line up to ask for this advice. Been talking to this girl for about 6 to 8 months. Have deep feelings for her. The love is there. Could have been wifey, I guess. I don't know. But she did something last week that makes me want to burn it all down. Don't you literally burn nothing? You're going to jail. Okay. Not to overshare, but I'm deep into BDSM, i.e. bondage, change, and whips excite me. So didn't think there was any lack of excitement in our bedroom. I'm very upfront, and any new partners I'm with, I divulge that immediately because it's not going to work if they ain't on the same time. That's just me. Anyways, fast forward to last week, she wants to spice things up and put me in the cuffs. Needless to say, I'm game. I'm bound, blindfolded, and she starts to whip me. I'm into it. But she, out of nowhere, decides to pull a Kiki. Now, how I get in it? And hooks me from behind without asking.
Like a
Now,
thumb
wait
in
a
the
minute.
butt?
Now, you saying hook. I ain't never did that. Now, I done did a little, but I didn't hook it. That sounds painful. Now,
Hooking booty holes?
well, hold on. Now, I done lost my place. Now, wait a minute now. Okay. Immediately, without thinking, I react on reflex with self-defense and turn around. That snaps the cuffs and ends with me catching her upper half with the chain part of the cuffs that draws blood. See, that's why this is shit like this. When people are like, why you don't want to try? I'm scared. Okay, I feel terrible. But at the same time, she has always been slapping me on the butt and trying to put a finger in my butt, i.e. Medinah on Carlos' time. Oop. And I told her multiple times how I'm not comfortable with that. I feel like if the shoe was on the other foot and I was a woman and constantly told a guy, I'm not comfortable with you doing that, but you kept trying anal, Kiki, that's not what happened.
Kiki don't be out here just digging in booty holes that don't
That
want to
is
be dug
not
in.
what happened. But okay, I'd file a harassment suit. Oop. But again, at the same time, I really like her. Still, anytime I try to be vulnerable and have the conversation about my boundaries, she just calls me closed-minded or homophobic. Or offloads the fact that she indulged in my kinks, but I won't dabble in hers. This is why you got to set your own boundaries. What do I do? Am I just being a small man and should play around, or do I make a stand on what I think I'm comfortable with? All her words, not mine. IDK, I'm at a loss. Man booties matter. I can't believe you just said I've been out here trying to take people's booties. I'm offended.
What would you tell him? Because that is when you put it like that, she keeps trying to dig in his booty hole and he really don't want it. It's making him like
You
scared.
gotta stop.
Yeah, because if a man just kept doing that, you would be like, I'm calling police.
You can't just put your dick in me.
Yeah.
And then what she's saying to him, what we talked about earlier, she's being very emasculating. You know,
So
she's
what's a
not
better way
listening
to say
him.
that part?
What?
I don't
You're
think she
just
should.
close-minded. That part.
Saying that
To him, what would be a softer way to say that if
Great
she
example.
is thinking that you don't really not want it because you really don't want it, you think it's because it makes you gay? Because some men do feel that way.
right.
But that even in itself sounds crazy because it's like you don't know that you don't want it. That's like a man saying you know you want it,
but like we're literally doing
she
the same
said she
thing.
didn't want it.
He's literally has said that he didn't want it. So
But he also says, am I just being closed-minded?
Because she's making him believe that. I feel like
Exactly.
she's now like the stronger one in the relationship. He doesn't want his butthole played in.
and like let
Leave
it
it
go.
alone.
Like it's a hard no. So she's not listening to him, and she's not respecting him, and then definitely didn't respect his boundaries. So he needs to talk to her about that. Literally sit her down and he needs to do some internal work and say, really, if he doesn't want to do it or not. It sounds like he doesn't, so he needs to stick with that. But then let her know, and if she still doesn't respect that, he needs to reevaluate the relationship because it doesn't sound like they may be compatible to an extent.
doesn't.
But it sounds like at this point, again, like I wish somebody would.
She
I would be so like.
She sounds like that man. Remember in the prison documentary, and he was like, one way or another, I'm going to get your booty.
Right.
You never said. It's a documentary. It's terrifying. I'm going to send it to you. And he's like, these young men come in here sagging them booties, and I'm going to get your booty
I bet
one
he
way or
does.
another. And he
Man.
gets the booties. And she
Yeah.
sounds like a
Yeah.
booty stealer.
I also think when it comes to like sexual things and kinks and stuff, for the girl, I don't know if she listens to the show too, but you're saying that you think that he's closed-minded and that he's homophobic. Is that the type of person you want to be with?
Ma'am.
Because you could also just stop.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you definitely have to stop because he doesn't want it. But when you're saying that to him, maybe he is.
Yeah.
You can also leave because you don't like that.
Exactly. Instead of like going in and attacking
There's a
him
lot of
for
men
not,
that like their
you
little
know,
booties played
it's
with.
A lot of them. Go to the sex club and find your king.
Right.
He in there.
Again, the one person is not going to give us everything that we want, and we have to be respectful of that. And she was being disrespectful. So,
Girl, she attacking
check
his
her.
booty hole.
She
He
doesn't-
hooking it.
Listen,
said hook it. That's very
he drew
rough,
blood,
too.
so
He
you know
did.
maybe she learned.
Yeah.
Hopefully, she learned her lesson. Got a little
Wild behavior, y'all. Consent.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now it's time for the cocktails. We really only have time for one.
Once upon a time, not long ago, I was a hoe, was a hoe.
Okay.
So, Brittany, I don't know. Do you have a cocktail you want to share? Have you been on any dates that were amazing? Just knocked you off your feet? Have you ever been on any embarrassing dates where you're like, wow, I can't believe this is where I'm at in life?
Oh my God. I've been trying to think about that since you asked me earlier. I've just started dating again. So
How's that going?
you know, it's going. You know, was building a little team and it's empty now, but you know,
It happens to the best of
it
us.
does. It definitely does. But any like amazing dates? Not in a long
It doesn't.
time.
It could be amazingly embarrassing, amazingly horrible. What was that
man.
first date like when you hopped back into the?
Okay, so I was overseas. So this is date 2. Date 1 was because he was a contractor as well. So I was working overseas as a contractor, and we met on Bumble. And the second date, you know, we're at my place because it was COVID, not a lot of places to go. And so he gets fucked up drunk. We're drinking, but he's
It's like belligerent.
I mean, belligerent, and he pours it out. Apparently, living with his wife still. They couldn't afford to divorce. They were wanting to get divorced, but couldn't afford it at the time. He lost his job. You know, he felt unappreciated by, session. Talk about us. And he hit my house. I did he thought he was going to spend the night. I mean, I had a second bedroom in my apartment there. Hell no, I just wanted to be alone. So, and I didn't even check on him to make sure he made it. It was down the street.
You got
and
to
the
go.
police in Italy, they were not like that then. So I was like, I hope he makes it. But he just went in, y'all. And I'm sitting there listening.
Was
like,
he crying?
Damn near. Like, it was just very, like, I was like, this is my life. This is what I got to deal with. I'm COVID. Like, okay. But no, it was a lot. The first night was actually fine. We talked. He seemed cool, but I guess he just felt comfortable.
At least he didn't get so drunk to where he did pass out on your couch or in your bed and pee in the bed.
Listen, I heard about that story. Like that happened to someone. Thank God. No, he wouldn't have did that because he was not allowed to stay. He was even like, I felt so bad, y'all. He was wobbling to his car. I was like, oh, Jesus.
I hope he makes it.
He made it, but, I saw he was still on Bumble later on. So I knew, that's how I knew he was.
So his phone was still on.
That's how I
charged it up.
knew. But, like, I'm like, is this what we dealing with out here? Like, is this... Okay.
Well, you live and you learn, you hit and you miss. Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. Let everybody know what you have going on, where they can find you. I love that you guys sent out with Paradise and Vibe that where people can go for help. If we don't have time for that, that's okay. Let people know how they can contact you if you want to be followed, all that good stuff.
Okay. So you can follow my business page, The Hardy Clinic. So Hardy is Hardy. So it's The Hardy Clinic. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all the social media accounts. So you can follow our page there. I also have a company called Hard Mood Agency. And so we currently just have an Instagram right now. So it's Hard Mood Agency on Instagram. So you can follow us there. And then thehardyclinic.com is our website. So if you need mental health services, if you just need some tips on things like trying to find a therapist, if we're not in network, we take all major insurances. We can give you some feedback on where to look.
And you guys need help, so make sure you follow her, okay?
We got y'all.
Please.
Yes, we got y'all.
So we're going to get out of here. I hope that you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, no matter who you're spending it with. We're going to go get... Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I was like, dang it, we went there. Okay.
Thanksgiving.
Y'all know I keep a little steak and a little mashed potato. And you would think I would see it with all of this stuff. Yeah, I want some candy yams and some mac and cheese. But I hope you guys have a wonderful Valentine's Day weekend. I hope that your weekends are full of love. And I hope that if you're in Atlanta, you come to the live show and you have a great time with us. Get your tickets again at City Winery's website. Follow us on Instagram. We're at CockTales Podcast. I'm at Kiki Said So.
And I'm at Coffee Bean Bean.
And until next week, you guys, goodbye.
Bye.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.
Population.
Goodbye. Bye. Bye.
Wait on the track.
Bye. 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 Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.
Population.
Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.
Wait on the track.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.
Population.
Goodbye. Bye. Bye.
Wait on the track.
Bye. 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 Bye.